Okay. All right, we're recording. So yeah, this is, my name's David. This is William Delleman, and we're both pastors here in Victoria. And last week, William and I talked on the phone, and we spent some time reflecting on, what this whole social distancing, COVID-19, what the situation has been like. And I was like, we should set up a Zoom call and talk about this more in depth, and maybe share what it's like for us to try to be pastors in this strange time. So yeah, William, I kind of want to hear, like, what has this been like for you what has the last 2 weeks been like for you? Go reflect.
I think it's been as difficult for me as anybody else. I mean, my wife and I, we're healthy. We have a home. We have access to the necessities of life. But the freedom to go and do things, whether we would regularly do them or not, has been taken away. So we should go to see a movie. No, we can't. We should go to a public place. Well, should we? And so it's been a loss of freedom and a loss of contact. So typically Sunday is a day of gathering. It's something I look forward to. And while we had an online service this past Sunday, which went well, the human contact is gone, and I'm finding that to be a significant loss. But otherwise, as I come to work this morning, it's all very much the same as it always was. I sit in front of a computer and type and talk on the phone.
Right. Yeah, I kind of feel that way too, as far as like my work goes. As far as I know, the government isn't telling me to stay away from church unless the church is filled with people. And so as long as it's just me in my office, I feel like it's a safe place to be. And while I'm in my office, I kind of just do the things I usually do while I'm in my office, like, read books and send emails, make phone calls. So my weekly routine hasn't changed too much, except now instead of meeting with people in person, I'm just making lots of phone calls.
Right.
But like you, our family is, we have, a decent place to live, and we're fine. But now we're starting to limit. Okay, we're gonna go out, but we can't go to a playground anymore. And I gotta explain that to my kids. Like, we can't touch the playground equipment. So instead of going to a playground, we're gonna go take a walk in the woods, or go to this secluded park where we know there probably won't be other people. And it's fine for now because our routine hasn't changed too much, but yeah, I'm a little bit worried about how long this will go, and then how that will begin to impact, my family. And but so far it hasn't been too difficult to keep distance. But I think that's going to wear on me after a while. Like, I'll be like, okay, I can do this for a while, but now I want to, I don't know, talk in person as opposed to Zoom or the phone. So.
Yeah, the same. And we do have an adult daughter, and her husband and daughter that live here in Victoria, and we cannot see them and be with them. And that's been difficult.
Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah. Like, I don't have any family in town, so but that would be strange if my parents were in town to not really go see them. Yeah. What was the live stream service like for you on Sunday? How'd that go? How did you feel?
At first, it felt a little awkward because the camera hangs off of the computer monitor, and I have to check to make sure that I'm centered and those kinds of things. But soon enough, it kind of felt much more natural, and I was able to ignore the screen, and we did have an unlisted YouTube live stream, which meant that in the chat bar, people could submit personal prayer requests and other things and feel good about that. And then we could pray. And we had a very good response as far as the number of subscribers. The community came together, and that felt really good. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday that we'll be able to continue that. Some people were a bit humorous with it. I got a couple of photographs of individuals sitting in their living room with their feet up and enjoying a different way to have a church service, but it went well.
Good. Yeah. Did you guys have like a band or anything? What did you do musically? Was there any singing or anything like that?
No, I just was in my office. We did some announcements. The room here is big enough that our council chair and I had a conversation around just where we are, where we're going, the things that we're doing as a leadership group. Then I spoke on a text that had been selected, part of the series we were in. We had a time of prayer, and then closed. So it was a shorter format, and we just weren't able to do the music piece.
Yeah. So Brittany and I mean, this is like, pastors are just experimenting like crazy right now, right? I mean, we're trying to find ways to have little services, or it's pretty amazing to see all the different things that churches are experimenting with. But Brittany and I we pre-recorded like a mini service at our kitchen table on Saturday night. So we put the kids to bed, and then we had a simple liturgy, and I pulled out my guitar, we sang some songs, and then we had an interview style sermon, her and I, where she had prepared a teaching on prayer, and then I asked her questions that sort of helped the content of the teaching come out. And then when it was done, I edited it and I uploaded it to YouTube, and people could tune in the next morning. And like you, I got a lot of positive feedback on that. Part of me wonders if we should try the live stream in the future, but I don't want to have to deal with the technical difficulties on Sunday morning if they should arise. But there is something missing with pre-recording, like you don't get that immediacy. But one of the things it did allow is I could put some of our bloopers at the end. So I edited in some of our, like just the awkward first moments of us trying to find our groove, and people liked just seeing us fumble around. It was kind of funny.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I went back and forth on, do I record or do I live stream? And it was actually one of my kids who said, no, you have to do it live.
Okay.
and I think he was right, at least for me and for us, because people were able to interact as things were going on. And that technology stuff you're afraid of, it all worked smoothly.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an area of stress running up to,
right.
Because I've never done it before. And it's not like I can have somebody lean over my shoulder right now and show me how to do it. So it was good. and we'll stay with this format. Yeah.
You mentioned the loss that you're feeling of that connection. Yeah, technology can kind of connect us so much, but I'm wondering, yeah, like what are the losses that you are experiencing right now? Like, what do you lament? What has COVID-19 shut down that is sad for you?
Well, I'm concerned about people who've lost work, who are laid off, and just the impact of that. I'm concerned about, business owners. I'm concerned I have a daughter-in-law who is a nurse, a sister who's a nurse. I'm not sure if my sister's gone back to work because she had retired, and the danger that they're in. I'm concerned that the long-term implications of this is less human contact. Will we resume shaking hands and other forms of greeting and just being together? We've had gatherings in our home where 3 or 4 people are sitting on the couch and there's physical contact. Are those days done? So I'm apprehensive about that. And yeah, I mentioned it before, just simply the Sunday morning, being with people, having series of conversations, joining a group, that sense of checking in and remaining current with one another. Now it has to be very intentional, person by person.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's good to be intentional, but it's not the same.
No, it's funny how I saw something on the internet, like someone put something on Twitter. Last year at this time, I was trying to get people off their phones and their computers and into small groups and having human contact. And now I'm trying to get people to not have human contact and get them back onto their phones and their computers so that they
Right.
could tune into church. It's like, okay, so here we go. We're moving everything online. Are we going to be able to backtrack on this eventually and like distance ourselves from our devices and back into human community, like actual, like I'm giving you a hug on Sunday morning. We're greeting each other warmly. Or is this just going to further isolate us, disconnect us, and be a part of that trajectory that we're really on as a human community? Just we're growing apart, and it
Right.
feels like it could do one of two things. It could make us crave actual human connection, and we'll be like, oh, I don't want to look at my computer for like a couple months. I just want person to person. It could sort of have that impact, but it could also be like, wow, it's actually kind of nice to worship from my couch on Sunday morning in my pajamas with my coffee. Why do I have to put my clothes on, jump in the car and go to church? There's that kind of worry there too.
And I thought about that, and I think it was yesterday that the generation before us already had church on TV, and so I'm beginning to think more and more that that our human need for contact, I believe that's a universal thing, and that sense of now I'm not allowed to, so I want it, will bring us back together again.
Yeah, for me, the loss, I don't know if I'm feeling anything too acutely right now. One thing I am noticing as I'm sort of out and about getting groceries or even just walking around Swan Lake, which is close to our house, there's this sense of like people, we're almost getting a little bit scared. We're scared of each other in a way, right? So we're all kind of doing this dance of staying away from each other, and it produces this weird feeling of not having like these real personal connections. I was at the grocery store the other day, and I just chose to engage the person behind the counter and just say, hey, what is this like for you? Like, how are you managing? How are you managing all this busyness and the intensity? And I think they appreciated just having someone stop and ask them that. But it feels like the default is we all just kind of quick get out of each other's way and don't get close. Even in the grocery stores now, they're putting down lines, like you got to be 6 feet away from the person in front of you. And yeah, that loss of connection, even with just neighbors or people in the store, it's just a strange thing.
It's true. But I also had it, particularly Friday, but even yesterday when we were walking, because I ride my bike to commute, and on my way home on Friday, I remember 3 instances of, riding past somebody coming the other direction, and just looking up and smiling and having that smile return.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. The person at the postal counter yesterday, I did the same thing, and we had a good conversation. And latex gloves are difficult to wear all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
But then, she says, well, if I use the wipes, that's hard on my skin. But if I wear the gloves, they're uncomfortable. So I'm not sure which way I should go.
Yeah.
And just actually being able to laugh about it together was really great.
Yeah.
From a distance of 6 feet apart.
Right. Of course. Yeah. You can still have good conversation from a distance.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little different.
Yep.
But yeah, like you, I kind of worry about, the economy and people in my church who have lost jobs, or, there's probably 6 or 7 nurses that are part of my church community, and my brother as well is a nurse, and my sister works in a care home in Ontario, and feels like they're kind of on the front line of this, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah, we have the same here. People who work in healthcare, first responders. It's a difficult time for them.
Mm-hmm. What about gifts in this, or like what are you thankful for? What opportunities has this opened up that you are kind of enjoying?
I think recognizing the rich lives, the rich life that I have, people, relationships. I am grateful for this technology. There have been times where, as you said earlier, I feel like I'm too much in front of a screen, and yet here we are, able to still communicate, see each other, hear each other. That's amazing. I'm glad for the gift of health and companionship. I'm not living in a home alone, and I'm aware of that. So I think there's a heightened sense of gratitude just generally. We use this term first world problems as sort of a way to remind ourselves of the kind of lives that we have. And that's probably a good thing, because we have pretty great lives.
Mm-hmm. What about ministry wise? Are you experimenting with anything at church that you're like, oh wow, this could actually be a rich opportunity?
I don't think that anything's really kind of popped up, and I've been able to grab onto it. We're going to do all of our meetings and whatever virtually, but I don't see that as a going forward thing once this crisis is passed. So at the moment, I'm not really seeing anything that I'm really excited about as a way to do things in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've come across something and you could help me out on this one.
Yeah. There's something I've been doing a lot of self-reflection lately, even long before this whole crisis hit with the virus. And there's pieces about me that I just don't understand. But one of the things I do know about myself is that something turns on in me in the midst of crisis. Like I have like another gear that like I can access in the middle of crisis that I can't seem to access when things are just normal. Maybe that's just the adrenaline rush, or the well, now my options are closed in and I actually have to experiment in this, in this fence. And there's actually something very liberating about that for me. And so my mind is actually going crazy right now with just all these possibilities and ways of using this time well, and trying to see it as a gift. Personally, I'm actually kind of thankful that I can stay in at night and not have to go to meetings. And then when we do have meetings, like I can do it on Zoom and it's like an hour and then it's over and I'm still at home and I haven't left, and it's actually kind of a nice feeling. So there's a little bit more rest happening in the evenings. But ministry-wise, I just started calling people. Hey, like I'm trying to do maybe 4 or 5 households a day. And so maybe I've called 20 families so far. And I have maybe 5 to 10 minute conversations. And so I feel oddly way more connected to my church even than I did, 2 weeks ago, because I'm spending so much time on the phone. And so that's a good feeling. And I'm going to continue doing that, just calling and connecting and seeing how people are doing. And then experimenting more with videos and YouTube, and doing little teachings. So I've made 2 5-minute videos so far, and I hope to, in addition to the Sunday service, just do another video each week where I talk about a theme. Like this week, I plan to make a video about, question and answer 1 of the Catechism, and how that can be a comfort to us in this time, and a source of strength. Also, I just have so many ideas. Some of them won't become reality, but some of them I'm hoping to turn into reality. And so I'm thankful for this second gear that I have that has been turned on in this crisis. And while I wish this wasn't happening, the crisis, I'm kind of thankful that, God is giving me both the energy and the creativity to think through this and wonder how it might be turned into something. I don't know, how much this I'll keep doing after the crisis is over, but I think the phone calls, wow, I might just keep doing that. But who knows? But right now, I'm thankful for both the freedom and the inspiration to start creating and turning some of these ideas into reality.
That's great.
Yeah. So we'll see what those turn into. do you have any hopes? Like, what's your prayer like right now for your church, for yourself in the midst of this crisis?
Oh, for health, for the end of it, for people to have a sensitivity and awareness of others, that as names come to mind, that we do make those calls or text messages or emails or whatever it might be, that people take precautions seriously, that we honor one another and do our part to not be part of the spread or anything like that. To support where we can, and be patient.
Yeah. I have a number of different things I'm thinking about as far as what do I hope for and what I'm praying for. You know, in a way, there's a test element to a crisis, right? It sort of reveals who we are, what kind of people we are. It reveals our anxieties, our fears. We learn more about ourselves. Like, I was at a Save On a few weeks ago during the toilet paper rush, where everyone's just quick, grab toilet paper. No one's sure why, because this virus doesn't make us have to go to the bathroom more than normal. But when you see other people's carts filled with toilet paper, you think to yourself, I'm missing out. I got to go grab some. So I'm in the store and I'm like, well, we got enough at home for another week, but there's some right here. I should probably buy it, right? Mm-hmm. And I reflected on that when I got home, like how much of that was just was that a wise thing to do, or was that just that fear kicking in? And I was worried that, oh no, everyone else has some, I better have some too. What if we run out? How will my kids, like, just that fear kicks in, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm learning stuff about myself through the way I react to this crisis. And I guess my prayer for the church is, and for myself, is that what is inside will be revealed, mm-hmm. and then we appropriately humble ourselves, repent of the things that need to be repented of, and allow God to shape us in this crisis into the kind of people that just can bear witness well and be a non-anxious presence in this world. And then I'm noticing through like park connections and just friends in the neighborhood that like people are pretty thoughtful and anxious right now. They're very open to having conversations. And so sometimes I wonder what opportunities there are right now to just have honest conversations about faith and life, about fundamental beliefs. Something about crisis kind of overturns the cart, right, of our lives. We're forced to have to figure out what's our foundation. What do we base our lives upon? Is it strong enough to withstand like a pandemic? Who am I? What am I doing here? And so I'm hoping for just more honest conversations with people about stuff like that. And who knows, like these YouTube services, they're not ideal, but certainly a whole group of people will access them that would never come to my church on a Sunday morning.
That's possible, yeah.
Maybe they won't, maybe they'll only watch 5 minutes and not, the whole 45 or whatever, but still, like, I don't know, things are getting out there. And so I hope that in this time, I don't know, that God nurtures in our culture kind of a hunger for honest conversation about foundations, about life, and that the church could respond to that somehow.
I agree. And it's, I call it a low tide moment. We find out what's really there.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm hopeful. And it makes me think of, there've been different stories of people doing odd things, clearing out the meat counter and that sort of thing. And how do we respond to people who are being overcome by anxiety, who are overwhelmed, and that's really a test of who we say we are, because people have done those kinds of things, and they'll probably continue. There'll continue to be those moments of people gathering when they shouldn't, of people purchasing and hoarding when they shouldn't. And how will we respond to them? With compassion and forgiveness and understanding, or will we go the other direction? And so my hope is that we remember who and what we are.
Totally. I like that image, the low tide. It's, stuff is revealed that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Any other reflections things you want to talk about?
I don't think so. It's one of the things I do know about myself, and I know about people that I've been in community with in other places and other times, is that we are incredibly resilient, and we will get used to a new normal way quicker than we ever thought, and that God is present, even if some people are wondering what in the world's going on, and why does God allow viruses and all of those kinds of questions. We have been created as resilient and compassionate beings. We'll get through it. We'll do it together. I was saying we're all in this together long before it became a catchphrase on the news, because I believe it. We're all in this together, and we will get through it together.
Yeah, certainly these are uncertain times, but I have hope for what we will learn in the midst of this, and I pray, that the body of Christ will rise to the occasion and just be a light, in the midst of this. But it was good to talk, and kind of strange. So I'm recording this, hoping to upload it. Are you okay if I upload it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. But I wanted to give this a try and just share our reflections, maybe with our churches and whoever else wants to hear. So thank you for being willing to do that.
For sure. Thank you.
Yep. And we'll keep in contact. I look forward to talking with you again sometime soon.
Yeah, I feel the same. Thanks,
all right.
David.
Yep.
Okay.
Talk to you later.